Welcome to What's New at Prairie Lakes AEA, your weekly update on the latest news and resources from Prairie Lakes Area Education Agency. I'm Dr. Dan Mark, Chief Administrator of Prairie Lakes AEA, and our goal with these updates is to provide information about how we are supporting students, teachers, administrators, and families across our 14-county region. Whether it's the latest in professional development, classroom strategies, or technology to help children reach their full potential, we have it covered. Now, let's dive into this week's highlights. So today, Rachel Brown is joining us to talk about LETRS. Many of you may have heard through recent legislation, the governor really promoting LETRS and LETRS training, but we want to educate not only our educators, but our parents. What is LETRS? Why is it important, or why is this being pushed so hard by the governor and the Department of Ed? So today, Rachel Brown is with us from Prairie Lakes AEA. So Rachel, tell our listeners, what is LETRS and why LETRS?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on today. But let's dive into a little bit about why LETRS. So, when we are looking at data that comes in, and specifically literacy data and how our kids are doing, and if they're able to read or not, we're seeing some low numbers there. So, between 30 and 40% of fourth and eighth graders, because that's when they are assessed. So, we only have about 30 to 40% that are proficient right now on those assessments. And so the governor, I think, is pushing LETRS and knowledge around the science of reading really hard because the science of reading is just a vast majority of research on how people learn how to read and how teachers can successfully teach reading to kids. Something that's really cool about the science of reading that I wanted to share today is that it's one of the most studied aspects of human learning. So when we really think about reading, how kids learn how to read, we have a ton of different researchers, not just educators, that are researching how kids learn how to read and how we can best teach them to read. So I thought that was pretty cool. When we think about LETRS specifically, we have an author, Louisa Mons, and a co-author, Carol Tolman. And what they did is they really took the research that comes from the science of reading and all of these different researchers and put it into one place to make it just a little bit easier for educators to get the training they need in order to support these readers. And so they put together this reading professional development program where all the different concepts and skills that are required for strong readers are put together in one place, and they're solidly backed by research.
So Rachel, even though for many, especially in the parent group, this is the first time they've heard of LETRS, this is not new.
No. Oh,
And the
gosh.
science of reading is not new.
Nope, it's a buzzword right now. And we say buzzword because everyone's talking about it, right? Everyone's hearing about it. It's been on the news. And so that's why I'm referring to it as like that buzzword. But the research behind reading is not new. It's been ongoing for years and years. And at Prairie Lakes AEA, we've been training for 3 years on the LETRS program and getting it into schools and helping teachers just to become better at what they already do.
So if I'm a parent and I'm seeing that my child's teacher's gone again for LETRS training, what's the involvement from the educator perspective to receive training in LETRS? Not you as a trainer, but them as the educator.
Yeah, they're putting in a lot of time and a lot of work to really learn and fully understand all of the different aspects. So there's 2 different volumes that the teachers are taking in order to complete LETRS. And for each volume, there's 4 units. And for 1 unit, they are required to do outside reading and then online modules. And that work is expected to take them about 8 hours outside of the classroom, just doing the reading and the online modules to learn everything. And then they're going to attend an in-person training at Prairie Lakes or wherever they choose to do it. And that's another 6 hours per unit. So they're spending a lot of time really getting to know this information.
So Rachel, why is it beneficial for that educator, that teacher, to take it during the school year versus couldn't they just do it in the summer when they don't have kids around and don't have to miss teaching their own students or having to find a sub?
Yeah, I can understand that. But, we want to get this learning to teachers as absolutely soon as we can. This is so good for students, for the students in the classroom, for your kids. And your teacher, your child's teacher, is going to be able to help them so much more when they understand maybe some of the skills that they are lacking in, and then how to really support them and build them up so that we're not waiting a whole nother year to get them the skills they need. We're able to do it in the moment.
And one of the benefits of doing it during the years, I can apply that tomorrow. When I go back to my classroom, I can start with that learning correct tomorrow versus sometimes people forget in the summer, it's like, oh, if I take a course in June and I've got to wait clear to August to apply, there I might forget some things.
Absolutely.
So not that we don't offer it both, we just know there's advantage of taking it during the year. We also understand there's advantages of taking the summer when we didn't have any subs this year to use, so our teachers had to do it this summer.
Yeah, yeah. As soon as they can get the learning, it's great.
So, Rachel, from the parents' side, are there things that you would hope parents would notice after their child's teacher may have gone through letters and is implementing the letters training?
Yeah, there are some things that you might notice. The science of reading, which is put directly into the letters PD, really talks about the importance of explicit instruction. And then it talks through different critical components that we need to be teaching kids. And one of them is phonemic awareness, which is hearing sounds, right? So you might have a kid coming home clapping sounds and words, or really talking about how to break words down, such as cat. You might hear them saying, there's three sounds in cat, ah, and t, right? You might also hear them really sounding out words when they're reading at home. So, yeah, there might be a lot of different things that they would come home doing.
Anything a parent could do during the summer to could help that reading continue to stabilize or maintain until that school year starts, in your opinion?
Absolutely. I think one of the most important pieces that Letters really talks about with educators is the importance that reading does not come naturally to students. And so it is something that has to be taught. And research would tell us that it can take up to 6 years for kids to become fluent readers. And that's if they follow that track 100% of the time. Right. And so when we're thinking about how we can help at home, it's that oral language piece is huge. And that's something that parents can be doing from the time that their child is born. And this includes reading out loud to your child. This includes having meaningful conversations where you're talking about something your child is interested and they're reciprocating, right? You're asking them questions, they're talking to you. They're answering and you're keeping that conversation going in just 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be some long conversation, but making sure that you're having that two-way conversation. And actually, there's research that shows conversational turns, and this is done by an actual study, but having 40 conversational turns in an hour leads to a higher IQ. And that might just include, hey, son or daughter, could you run and grab me the measuring cup out of this drawer? And them responding with, the top drawer or the bottom drawer? Yep, the bottom drawer is great. Okay, mom, and that's it. That's conversational turns. And right there, I talked with 10 different conversational turns with back and forth. And so those are the types of things that I would encourage you to do because we know how important vocabulary is to creating good readers. And when kids are hearing vocabulary and they're having conversation, they're building that side of their reading brain.
So, Rachel, during the summer, schools are closed. I'm not sure what I should do as far as reading books. I have enough at home, but those are getting old. What should I look for when I go to the public library if I want to look for books? And then what do I do as a parent?
Yeah, so there's a couple different options. Like reading for pleasure and what your kids enjoy is amazing. So if your kid has a certain section they love to go to and they love to pick books out of a certain genre or, whatever's popular right now, let them do that. Read the books that they enjoy reading. But you also have an option to talk to your child's teacher and they're going to be able to share with you, perhaps their Lexile level or what types of books they're reading currently in the classroom or what's grade level appropriate. And they can give you some ideas and they're happy to do that. And then the librarian is also going to be willing to help you. It's more about hearing and having them read out loud. So even my second grade child, if I'm reading them a book at a kindergarten level, but I'm still reading it out loud and they're hearing how I'm using all of the different reading skills, that's still going to benefit them. You're not going to go wrong with whatever you choose. But if you're looking for some specific things that are going to be geared towards your student at their grade level, I would be having that conversation with their teacher.
So, and Rachel, I think I heard you say too a little bit ago, and another important part of reading is the conversation. So it
Absolutely.
could be that follow up, not that you even have to read all the time, it's the conversation about the book they might have had and what did you like in this book and things like that part of it as well are just as important as the actual reading of the book.
Absolutely. And we do this so often with our young kids, 3 and 4 years old, they're sitting on your lap and you're like, okay, point to the dog for me. Or what was the cat doing in this story? And we tend to, that falls off a little bit as the kids get older, but it's just as important. So if they're reading on their own and not necessarily needing you to read to them, you can still have those conversations about their book. Hey, what'd you read about today? What was that chapter about? Who's your main character? And it just has to be that simple.
Excellent. Excellent. Rachel, thank you so much. Any final things you'd like to share with our listeners today?
I just want to thank you guys as parents like so much for being involved in your students' education. I am so appreciative that you want to read to your kids and that you want to be involved in making them better. And they are very lucky to have you. So thank you.
Rachel, thank you. Rachel Brown today, our school improvement facilitator from Prairie Lakes AA on letters and the science of reading. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks.
That concludes this week's episode of What's New at Prairie Lakes AA. I hope you found this update helpful and informative. Remember, Prairie Lakes AA is here to ensure equitable, efficient, and effective educational services. If you have any questions or want to learn more, please visit our website or contact your local AA office. Thanks for tuning in and have a great day.